Hi guys, I'm Andrea and welcome to video number 2 of Latinx-A-Thon. Let's talk Latinx book recs. I was super excited to come up with a list of books that I think will be great for anybody to read, not just for this readathon, but just life in general. I think Latinx books are so rich in like culture and in wordplay. I mean, Latinx literature is the birthplace of magical realism, so I think that there are a lot of underrated books out there that are written by Latinx authors. So I was super excited to come up with a few of them on it. For this recommendation video, I focus a little bit more on contemporary authors rather than classic authors, just because for my own TBR, I'm going to be reading more classic authors. So I just wanted to differentiate and provide a variety of books so we could all learn about and enjoy. So the first book I really want to talk about is I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erika Sanchez. I've already made a full video review on this book where I go in depth with themes and all that kind of stuff, but just a quick recap. This book is about a high schooler named Julia, who is the daughter of these Mexican undocumented immigrants, and she's kind of the black sheep of the family. She speaks out, she's unruly, she's headstrong, she's slightly whiny, but she's a teenager, so hey. And then one day, everything in her life changes. She has an older sister named Olga, who is considered the good one, the innocent one, the saintly one, and Olga dies tragically in a car accident. And Julia's life just completely turns on its head, and she kind of discovers for the first time what grief really is and how it manifests itself in different ways in different people. And her family unit is kind of completely broken in and torn apart. But more than anything, Julia wants to discover what the last days of her sister's life were and what they were like. And what she discovers is more shocking than she could have ever thought. I really enjoyed this book because of its seamless integration of Mexican culture. As a first generation Chicana, I think that a lot of books struggle with this. You know, sometimes the culture aspects of books don't seem organic or they don't seem natural, and this book really excelled in that. The culture was so alive and vibrant. I could smell the spices, I could smell the fabuloso on the floor, I could hear the Spanish news station, and I could just really find aspects of her own family and my own, even though we're completely different. Besides that, I think the Spanglish in this book is definitely on point. I think a lot of other books also struggle with Spanglish. So I think other books focus on Spanglish as in one sentence, one language, and another sentence, a different language, and then translations in between. When I don't think it's necessarily that, especially when one character is having a dialogue with another one, they won't stop to translate the word they just said to another Spanish speaker or another person of a different language, or the same language, sorry. So I like how this Spanglish was dealt with, like just words sprinkled here and there, and it was really kind of cool just to read that and not have to deal with like the immediate translation or anything like that. The second book I want to recommend, I also just recently read. I feel like these are just recent reads, but this fills a prompt of voices/heritage, and this is American Street by E.B. Boy. So American Street is about this girl named Fabiola who is from Haiti. She and her mother hop on a plane to the US to live there with their cousins and their aunt. But at the airport, Fabiola's mom is detained and she gets sent back to Haiti. So Fabiola is forced to live her new American life with her cousins and her aunt that she isn't very familiar with. She's thrown into the American high school system, and she really struggles as an outsider because although a lot of people or a lot of kids in the high school share the same ancestral home as her, Haiti, the place that they were born in really defines them. So there's really this stark difference between American-born Haitians and Haitians from Haiti, and Fabiola kind of discovers that really distinct change. I think anybody who is a fan of the book The Hate U Give will really enjoy this book. There's a lot of similar writing styles and a lot of similar themes, and I think that the magical realism in this book is just so wonderfully incorporated in the sense that our gateway into magical realism is through Papa Legba, and Papa Legba is kind of, I guess, Fabiola's fears personified of the American culture and of American life and not wanting to forget her own roots. So I think that was just so like great for the reader to read. The next book I want to talk about also fills the prompt of pride, and that is They Both Die at the End by Adam C. there. Honestly, I love me like a good soft sci-fi, angsty, sad, depressing book, and this like check marked all those points, so immediately I was smitten with it, I'm not even gonna lie. So They Both Die at the End takes place in a world where people get a phone call from this company called Deathcast on the day they are supposed to die, and they just get a warning saying, hey, you're gonna die today. They don't get told how, when, or why, they just get told that they're going to die on that day. And this book follows two boys called Mateo and Rufus. Mateo is Puerto Rican and Rufus is Cuban, and they both get the same phone call on the same day, and it's kind of I guess their journey throughout the entire day of how they spend their last day on Earth. Although they come from two very different worlds, their stories definitely do come crashing into each other in a lot of different ways. Although this book doesn't deal with, I guess, each character's nationalities explicitly or a lot, I think it does really embody this kind of Latinx way of thinking involving mortality and death. There's this song by Celia Cruz called Lebbeus and Carnarvon, and it really reminds me of this song because the theme of that song is basically that we're all gonna die, so you might as well enjoy life while you have it and not to cry and just live life to the fullest. And this is kind of the same theme that the book kind of goes for, so yeah. The next book I want to talk about is for the prompt Roots, and that's Los Bandidos del Rio Frio. So this book was read to me by my dad, so shout out to my dad. I asked him, I said, hey dad, what books are good to recommend? And this was at the top of his list. This is an older book. It was written in a newspaper, I believe, between the years 1889 and 1891, which is why I have it under Roots. In English, The Bandits from Rio Frio. It's a 19th century political satire about Mexico. So this book is interesting because it was not translated until 2007, which just blows my mind that it went so many years untranslated. But it is considered one of Mexico's classics. It's on the same, I guess, level, according to a lot of reviewers, as a Dickens book or anything like that. So it's just incredible to me that it hadn't been translated to English until so recently. This book follows Countess Mariana de Sos and Lieutenant Colonel Juan Robeno, who have an illegitimate son, and this son is then kidnapped by Aztec witches, and the story goes on from there, and their son kind of experiences war, famine, corruption, dirty politics, all that kind of stuff within the Mexican government and the dawn of the Mexican independence. My dad really wanted me to rec this book and read this book just because he says it deals with a lot of the same topics that Mexico is currently dealing or going through right now. A lot of the same corruption, scandals, whatever that was happening in the 1800s. It's kind of a case of history repeating itself, and Mexico is still going through it today. So there's that. I also learned that it's a really great piece if you want to learn about Mexican life in the 1800s. It's really great and goes in depth in how society worked and how class worked and all that kind of stuff. So the last book I want to talk about fills Roots and Pride, technically, I guess, and that is Gabby, A Girl in Pieces by Isabel Quintero. This book follows Gabby in her senior year of high school, and she's dealing with about everything a girl could experience. College applications, her best friend gets pregnant, her dad's addicted to meth, her other best friend comes out, and it's kind of written in this diary style, so we're immediately thrown into her point of view. This book was read to me after I did my review of I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, because the girl said that the characters of Gabby and Julia were very similar, and that is completely true. If you do not enjoy reading from a teenage girl's perspective, I don't think you'll necessarily enjoy the writing style of this book, because it very much embodies that, you know, like whiny, bratty teenage girl life. But I do adore this book because it deals with a lot of taboo subjects. It deals with like sex positivity and like religion and feminism and all these kinds of things. There's also fat rep in this book, which I think is super important because I don't see it enough in Latinx literature, or if at all. I'm trying to think of another book where I saw it as directly as it's dealt with in this book, and I can't think of any at the top of my head. But Gabby has this like giant problem with food, and her mom is always making remarks to her on it, and I think that's something that a lot of Latinx girls deal with. Our family's always criticizing what we eat, or when we eat, or if we're eating enough. So I think that was like very refreshing to read, especially. So yeah, those are some Latinx book recs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a chance to check out or participate in Latinx-A-Thon, or if you don't, just check out one of these books. I think they're all really great and amazingly well written. And check out Latinx Book Bingo as well, because their readathon is coming up pretty soon as well. My TBR video and the other girls' TBR videos will be coming very shortly as well. And I'm super excited to announce all the books I have for my TBR video because they're pretty cool. I'm just saying. Yeah, see you guys next time, and thanks for watching. Bye.